How do you explain the concept to your young males of masculinity and what that looks like in society today? How do you cover that topic?
Well, this is always an interesting conversation because right now, just the toxic masculinity, I don't even think there's a such thing. I think, well, it is, but I would say it's more of too much femininity, because a boy that's, operating in his masculinity or whatever like that is simple. It's not a super extravagant thing. We're not abusive or anything like that. Like people try to make it seem, because I think a lot of those issues come from not having a father around. But for a man growing his own food, taking care of his family, able to help take care of his community, able to take care of his children, able to do things for himself, able to love on his wife, love on his children, those things are what I consider, being a masculine man. Now, of course, will get pushback, for saying things like boys need fathers. Like I remember I was having a community meeting in Albany maybe like a month ago, and I was saying, well, some of these boys need fathers, and some guy was like, well, that's not true because my mom raised me good, and I ain't have a daddy. And sometimes women can raise boys just as good as a man can. And I was just like, you wouldn't say that to no woman. You wouldn't tell a woman that you could raise a daughter as good as she could. That makes no sense. How can a woman teach a man how to be a man? That's just impossible. That you probably had more father figures growing up. You probably had some male teachers around or something. Your mama just ain't just raised you completely on her own, and you turned out to be this masculine male that I see. That ain't how that happened. That's just not how the universe works. There's a man somewhere, in there, and those boys need fathers. And then somebody was saying that's me discounting the work of single mothers when I say boys need fathers. I'm like, I didn't even mention single mothers. We shouldn't even want our mothers to be single. So why are we even, parading that around like an award? That's not an award. That's something we need to be trying to fix. That's a problem, not a award. Like we love to parade around like, oh, I'm a single black mother. And I don't know. Let's figure out how we can fix that, man. Let's figure out what can we do as men to make sure we're eliminating, our women having to be single mothers. And that comes from choosing, better partners to sleep with and have children with. And that comes on both sides, so definitely teaching our boys, about picking and choosing, who you decide to sleep with and who you decide to have a baby with. Because a lot of our problems come from, having children just haphazardly. Because we have a lot of people just out here having sex and ain't, paying attention to who you're having sex with, just out here just wilding and then just having children. And I know people with so many kids and so many guys with 100 baby mamas or mamas with 100 baby daddies. Like that's a problem too, because you are not able to effectively raise those children by yourself. Like I know mama's got 7, 8 kids at home. She working, the kids at home all day. Like that's incubating a lot too there at that house. Because they ain't got no daddy, they ain't got mama around, they kind of raising themselves. And then the oldest kids are ended up having to be parents way earlier, which is another reason I think plays into, kids getting pregnant so early, because they already being mama and daddy, so they already used to it. They already changing diapers and making sure the kids eat and washing dishes and cleaning the house. You're already an adult at 14, 15. I really don't like, how a lot of parents, force their children to be the parents of their kids. Kids can't even participate in what they want to participate in because they got to watch their little sister or watch their brother. Just little stuff like that. That ain't their child. They ain't ask you to go have it. They need to go experience life and not be an adult at the age of freaking 15, 16 years old. Talking about teaching them responsibility. That's not responsibility. You are irresponsible. But, that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
And how are you actually talking with your young males about this, though? How are you expressing this to them at such a young age?
Some things, I know a lot of people think that in the program, I kind of talk directly to the children about some of these things. Some of these things I don't even really talk about because a lot of it is operating in the essence of which I want to see them operating in. Because a lot of learning happens without me just teaching them. It's kind of like how your grandma taught you. Well, your grandma ain't really teach you how to fry chicken. You just happen to be walking past her in the kitchen, 5 or 10 times or whatever, going to make you some water. And you see her put the bread and the seasoning, and put it in the grease. Or kind of how I learned how to grill growing up. Like my uncles didn't give me a class on how to grill. It's just, I happened to be going to the family reunion a few times, or happened to see my stepdad outside on the grill a few times, and I, kind of caught on. So some of those things, they're going to learn, just being around a man. So like even some of the things I learned from my stepdad, like just how to, operate in the house, what traditions we do, how do you, talk to your wife? How do you, talk to your children? How do you discipline? I didn't have a class on those things. I just kind of saw like what it was that I should be doing. So a lot of these kids, they start emulating, me and the other men that I have them around just by being around. So if I'm being a well-made man, which is why I have to take care of myself so often and pay attention to what I'm doing, is because they'll start doing these same things because they are around. So some things I don't even have to I don't have to say, hey, you should talk to your wife like this, or you should talk to your kids like this, or you should operate this way. No, I just operate in that essence. That's kind of like how a woman has to constantly say, well, I'm going to be a submissive woman and I'm going to do this. Or you can just kind of operate in that essence. You don't have to say it. I don't have to teach them. Just operate in the way in which I want to see them be. So you get, in order to be a man, you got to see a man. I can't teach that. I have to show you that. So yeah, sure, we'll have conversations here and there if they ask about it, but most of the teaching comes from them just being around me and the other men that I have them around.